Hello everyone, this is the guy formerly known as Born in Asphodel Meadow. I'm not back yet, I guess. I don't know, I may be. I'm just still deciding. But I'm making a video to address a video made by a friend of mine, Bionic Dance, who I promised a video to a million years ago and I never actually did it. So here it is. And I'm coming to her defense, not that she needs it per se, because I thought her points were pretty clear, but there were still droves of people who just didn't get it, and so that's the purpose of this video. I've studied philosophy and ethics at a university level, so I'm pretty clear on what I'm talking about. What I'm going to try to do in this video is show how the arguments people use to defend objective morality against its criticisms are all worthless, and to show that objective morality doesn't exist and anyone who disagrees is just silly. Now, there are a million ways you can phrase the arguments, but they basically fall into more or less 5 categories that I've outlined. But before I get into those, I want to give you some definitions. First of all, I want to define morality, as your answer to the question, what should we do morally? Please keep this in mind for the duration of the video. Objective is to be true regardless of anyone's opinion or perspective. An example of this would be that the sun has more mass than the earth. No one's opinion is relevant. Now, subjective, it means true because someone's opinion or perspective makes it true. An example of this would be that onions taste better than tomatoes. If there were no people on the planet, the statement onions taste better than tomatoes would be worthless, it would be meaningless. So, it takes a personal opinion and perspective, a bias in a sense, to make subjective truths true. Note the root of these two words, if you would. Objective, as in the object, and subjective, as in the subject. Things that are true objectively are true because the property that makes it true is in the object, i.e. mass, whereas things that are in the subject, such as opinion, are what makes subjective truths true. Just saying. That's why I use those definitions. If you have any alternative definitions or you think that morality is something other than what I'm saying, well, get that shit out of here because that's a semantic disagreement. We're talking specifically about the arguments. Okay, so on to the arguments. I call this the argument from question begging because I couldn't think of a better name for it. The argument basically goes like this. Certain things are wrong because they're wrong, and that's that. Obviously, you get the point now. I call this the question begging argument because what can you respond to that with other than, but why are they wrong? It's like if I were to say, there are pink unicorns because there are pink unicorns, and that's that. No further justification. Now, this is the argument from basics. This is a little different, although it kind of plays into the same vein as the last one. These people argue that moral statements like pain is bad or murder is wrong are fundamental and basic, requiring no further justification. I'm willing to accept this as possible. It's probably one of the better arguments, but in order to accept that, you have to agree that what makes murder wrong or what makes pain bad is no other element of justification. In other words, if it's objectively true that moral statements are just so basic that they require no more justification, you think that morality is unjustified. If you are willing to accept that, then by all means. Okay, so the next one is the argument from universality. Everyone thinks murder is wrong or that pain is bad or some other moral statement, so it is objectively. I think you're confusing the word objectively with intersubjectively if you buy this argument. Intersubjectively means we all agree on it or several people agree on it. Objectively means no one's agreement is relevant whatsoever. Regardless of everyone agreeing or no one agreeing, it's true regardless. So, obviously, even if everyone agrees on the principle that pain is bad, it doesn't make it objectively true. This is the argument from immateriality. Moral truths are immaterial but still objective, like that 2 plus 2 is 4. Now, the thing that makes 2 plus 2 4 is that most people accept the premises behind mathematics, like that logic works, the principle of non-contradiction works, that numbers have whatever value that they have, etc. So, 2 plus 2 is 4 is objectively true, given the premise that logic works. What makes a moral truth true in the same way? You can't just say, pain is bad, therefore we should not cause pain, and just have that be the objective truth. Because you can just say, well, why should I accept the premise that pain is bad? And then all of a sudden, you've got to give me an argument to support that, and we are exactly where we were before. If you can't give me an argument to show why pain is objectively bad, then we can't have an objective morality, can we? This is the argument from selfishness. It is objectively true that the human race is the center of the moral universe, and so it is objectively true that things that benefit the human race are moral. It is completely true that if the human race is the center of the moral universe, and they are all we should care about, then things that benefit them are moral. However, why should the human race be the center of our moral universe? If we were to kill every human on the planet, almost every other animal on this planet would probably live a better life. So, shouldn't we, couldn't you make the argument that it would be moral to kill people? Like, from the perspective of someone who wants to benefit animals? So, if you want to motivate that argument, you have to explain to me why humans are objectively the center of the moral universe. And the only possible answer you can come up with that is, well, because I think that they should be the center of the moral universe, and that's not objective. The final argument is what I call the biological argument. We have an innate sense of morality, or our culture has an intrinsic sense of morality, or we as something to that effect, basically arguing that we have a sense of morality that is objectively there. Therefore, morality is objective. Now, it is true that we objectively have morality, but remember what question we're trying to answer here. We're not trying to answer the question, do we have morality objectively? We're trying to answer the question of, what should we do morally? So, in answer to that question, this argument would say that we should obey our biological instincts. Well, not only is that kind of stupid in itself, that's an opinion. We should obey our biological instincts. Like, the fact that we have these instincts doesn't speak anything to the effect of that we should follow them. In order to justify that we should follow them, you have to give us an argument. So that is basically all of them. If you guys have any responses or comments, I'd be glad to hear them. Also, if I make any amendments to this, or if I feel like adding any more nuances to it, or responding to anyone's comments or anything that I feel should be addressed in the video, I'm going to leave it in the video description, so please read that after watching this video to see what I've changed, or if there are any more notes that I want to make. Thanks for listening, guys. I am still technically born in Asphodel Meadow, and hopefully I'll see more of you guys soon.